Greetings, Uncle Travelling Matt here, and I'm sitting on the train thundering my way from Dananpur to Varanasi. However, I'm not going to talk about what I'm doing today, but more about what I did yesterday. And what I did yesterday is I went with my friend Abhishek to Bodhgaya, the holy place for Buddhists. So what happened? Woke up ridiculously early, and it was a 6:10 in the morning train. I think it's the only time I've seen India remotely quiet. And we got on the train, dozed through most of the journey, and got to Gaya, which is the junction for Varanasi. And then we got a tuk-tuk for about 10 kilometers or so onwards, not to Varanasi. It's the junction or so. It's the railway station for Bodhgaya. And then they got a tuk-tuk onwards for the 11 kilometers or so to the town itself. Now, Bodhgaya is famous because it is the place where the Buddha gained enlightenment. So it's probably the holiest place in the world for Buddhism. And what that means is you've got this very weird town. It's like a normal Indian town. It's a bit cleaner than others. But dotted around it are scores of temples. And what's weird is they're all like from the styles of different countries. So it's like a Nepalese temple, and a Vietnamese temple, and a Thai temple, and a Japanese temple, and a Chinese temple. And of course, to make that even a bit strange, most of the population actually seem to be Muslim. So it's a very unusual and strange town, but it was quite cool, and it's somewhere that I've long wanted to go. So we got into the town, and the first point of call was the Daibutsu, which is the large Buddha statue. Now, I've seen quite a few of these Daibutsus in Japan. And they're quite popular to build these massive statues of the sitting Buddha. And it reminded me of the one in Takaoka, which is near where I used to live in Japan. But this one, it was quite interesting because it was flanked by statues of his disciples. And I just read a very good book on Buddhism. And, hello. There we are. We got visitors. Hello. Hello. Yes, I just read a book on Buddhism, so I knew a lot more about his life than it was called The Life and the Teachings of the Buddha. It was given to me in Vietnam over 20 years ago, and I actually finished reading it in Bodhgaya, which was quite cool. But yeah, he's flanked were his disciples, so I was able to pick out some of those because I'd learnt about them from the book, and that was great. And so we went to that, and then we went in some of the temples. So there was a wonderful Tibetan temple. There's quite a few Tibetan temples, to be honest. Tibetans are there en masse. And a Japanese one, very understated as you would expect, Nepalese, so on. We had some momos in a Sikkim restaurant. Now, Sikkim is a province of India. It lies between Nepal and Bhutan, so it's a Himalayan. And whilst I was in there, I met a party of pilgrims. They were Hindus from Bengal. But one of them was, he was a big fan of Rabindranath Tagore. And I'd been talking about Tagore, and he'd come over and he joined us. And he was a lovely man. And he was a travel agent himself. So that was a nice little encounter. We carried on walking into the town. And we got to the main shrine itself, which is the Mahabodhi temple. Now, I couldn't photograph in there, although we did get a photographer to take one image in front of the main shrine. But it was a wonderful place. I hadn't expected that much, but it was a wonderfully powerful spiritual place, full of pilgrims from all around the world, doing their thing. A lot of Thais, Vietnamese in big numbers actually. And I went into the main temple and I finished reading my book on Buddhism and meditated for quite some time by the main image of the Buddha there, and it was very powerful. Then after, circled the temple, and at the back is the Bodhi tree itself. So sat there meditating for quite some time after that as well. It was absolutely wonderful. Yeah, really powerful place, peaceful. The only problem was grasping monks who were, you know, after money all the time. You give them something, they're like, no, we want more. But I did get a couple of leaves off the Bodhi tree. When the leaves fall down, they collect them and give them. So that was nice. So yeah, that was that. And Afterwards, did a little bit of shopping, got some Buddhist goods for friends, and then continued on our way. Had a meal in the restaurant, and I wanted to find the Vietnamese temple because I bought these statues for my Vietnamese ones and I wanted to get them blessed. We looked quite fruitlessly for this Vietnamese temple for a while, and then we ended up getting a tuk-tuk, and it was about a good couple of kilometres out of town, but it was a wonderfully kind of peaceful spot, and I managed to make myself understood and got a priest to bless my statues that I bought, so that was nice. And all in all, I really liked Bodhgaya. We got a tuk-tuk back to Gaya, and the problem was we had about 4 or 5 hours until the train. So what we did is went to the Hindu temple there. The name I've forgotten, but I'll put it in the chat. And it's a very ancient Hindu temple, dedicated to Vishnu, Vishnupura I think it was called. The only problem was they didn't allow non-Hindus in, which I think offended my friend more than it offended me. But I sat and, I saw the outside, and then I sat and had a drink and did a bit of reading while he went in. And then we went into Gaya itself and spent several hours in a restaurant drinking tea until we were more or less chased out by the guy for not buying a meal. And although it was empty, I mean, why would you bother chasing customer? I don't know. And then finally got the train back, and it was one of those Van der Bharat Express trains, which was quite nice. And got back. It was only about 3/4 of an hour or so to get back, and got into the hotel very late and almost fell asleep straight away, which is why I didn't do this video last night. And so that's that. That was my day at Bodhgaya. Absolutely wonderful day, wonderful place. It's somewhere I've long dreamed of going, and I've done it now, and I'm so glad that I have. It's powerful. It was far more powerful than I expected it to be, actually. And yeah, I might talk about it later. Obviously, I'm going up to Dharamsala, which is a Buddhist type place. So yeah, but now, swapping religion again. We had the Sikhs, we've had the Buddhists, now it's the Hindus. I'm on the way to Varanasi, the holiest place in world Hinduism. So keep travelling.